On Monday, we spoke about waking up and retaining some of that state of sleep in this.
Okay, let me clarify. I got a sense of the question.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to misunderstand actually. So let me try and, it's difficult to put in words. So one idea is that we go to sleep and then when we wake up, we retain some of the sleepiness. So it's a bit like that. You hear I'm too sleepy. It's like, that is one idea of retaining the sleepiness or retaining part of the sleep. But that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that to not attach to anything that arises in the waking. So it's not really a retaining of that, because that is naturally retained. What is true is naturally here. You see? So we don't have to work towards retaining that. If there is work, then the work is only to not attach to the objects of the waking. And when I say not attach, I'm not talking about attention. See, because when we are awake, then perception will arise, phenomena will arise. You see, so attention will go to them and you will notice the realm of perception. So it's not a denial of the meeting with through attention, but just the attachment through belief in thought, through identification. You see? So, because that creates duality, that creates the trouble, that creates the egoic sense of me. So, retain what is naturally retained, but don't pick up anything new from the waking. So, the idea is not to try and retain some part of the sleep, but not pick up anything from the waking. Clear? Otherwise, it can sound a bit confusing, especially if you don't experiment with it maybe over many months and weeks and maybe years. You see, it can seem strange what I'm really saying. You see? So remain unchanged inwardly. You see? Within yourself, remain unchanged between sleep and waking. That is truly to remain open and empty. That is the emptiness being pointed at in Satsang, because that emptiness then becomes the most fertile territory for self-recognition, for living in God's light, in His love.
When we wake up, there's also about, we have talked about the importance of the morning sitting. And why is that so important, that morning thing?
Yes. Why do I emphasize that don't start your day without meeting God's presence? Is because if you notice, the mind tries to own the day right in the morning. You see, when you wake up, it tries to own the day by telling you this has to be done, this is not done, reply to this one, do this work. You see? So it tries to lay first claim to your life during that day. And for most of us, first thing in the morning. So if you can withdraw from that assault, not fall for that mental identification and assault, you see, and remain in God's presence first thing in the morning, then that itself is a big part of the job done for the day. So start your day no matter what in God's light, in God's presence, and then you carry that perfume, you carry that light through the interactions of the day. So it's helpful for yourself and also helpful for the brothers and sisters that you will meet in the course of the day. So otherwise the momentum sometimes becomes too much for us to handle. If we start like that and we say, okay, we will pray later, or we will inquire later, you see, then by the time you spend 1 or 2 hours in that mind-addled state, you'll find it very tough to come out. You see, you're already caught up. Then you feel like, okay, let me start again tomorrow properly. Then tomorrow again it'll start like this. So don't allow the mind to win the day in this way, because who knows how many days are left. We don't really know. And actually, even if there were an infinite number of days left, you see, even if there were an infinite number of days left, this was like Groundhog Day, which keeps repeating. Yeah? Even then, to spend a day taking yourself to be the personal me in the prison of the mind, you see, cannot be a good idea either way. Inside. Yeah.
With your mind and your
Inside. Whatever is inside.
inside.
Anta. Kami.
In a normal life, at least, there is a good moods, bad moods.
Yeah.
Everyone is having a good day, bad day,
Yeah.
good mood, bad mood. And it's like the weather, right? Sometimes raining, sometimes whatever. You seem to be, if you're in living like that, you're swept in the current. You're in a bad mood, you can hardly control yourself sometimes. You know. But then when you are moving into this state, then that mood, it doesn't become such a thing, right? The mood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because the weather in here is always nice.
Yeah.
You see? But we have to be careful not to judge ourselves or to trouble ourselves with the new dimension of the checker guy in the mind saying, you're being like this. You see? So, but you will find that the stability that we are looking for only comes when we are anchored in God's presence.
Yeah. So then
And it's actually very strange in the sense that, although this is very true, but the enormity of the fact that God's presence lives in our heart, you see, should be worth being with for itself. What would we rather be with? So, and then the checker guy has no chance. Because why are you wasting your life being spiritual? Because I get to be with God. You see? Then it doesn't need to, the rest of it doesn't matter. All the other buts it can say, how does it matter? I get to be with God. You get to be with God. There's no better offer available in Maya. You see, that is the biggest counteracting of Maya which is possible, but it needs faith. You see? Because you will not see, at least to start with, we won't necessarily see phenomenal perks or the phenomenal evidence of being with God. You see? And because it is only found intuitively and not through perception and not through thinking, you see? So that jumping over the old modes of knowledge, to start to live in the way of the heart, to start to live intuitively, initially takes a leap of faith. Because for a long time, Maya will also try to pull you out. but this, but this, but this. But you get to be with God. And the less metaphorically, poetically, romantically you take those words, and the more literally you can take them, that much your faith has deepened. Getting? You get to be with God. Tell me something better that Maya can offer. See? But it doesn't have everyone jumping with excitement. Only because maybe hoga, shayad. Otherwise this room should be, if I told a set of kids that Santa Claus is coming into the room, till a certain age, and then we lose that excitement. We say, we know. Are there any kids watching? So they start to say, we know it's not like that. So, and I'm saying to you, you can get to be with God. So that should be such news worth rejoicing. But we are unable to because because and because of the interest in the world. So what have we put on two ends of the weighing scale? Display of light and sound versus the presence of God Himself. How is it possible for us to compare? Suppose this was, and it is, but imagine for yourself that this is possible for you. When would you want that to start? And maybe you want to know about the fine print before you say, right now. You want to know about the fine print? Conditions apply? There's one condition that you know. You must not be concerned with the me. Then everything else is fine. So it must move from self-interest to interest only in God, from self-concern to only being interested in God, from self-will to God's will, from self-image to being in the holy temple of His light in your heart. So this is the project of Satsang. Is this what you want? That's all I can point to. Does it seem far-fetched? It's actually not. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. The me-making, the ego elevation is much more complicated. To be with God is sheer innocence and simplicity. So if you're working too hard in your head trying to figure it out, you've gone in the wrong direction. If you're trying too hard to even understand what I'm saying, you've gone too far. Don't worry, relax. First relax. For a long time I just used to keep saying, first relax. Because unless you first relax, it's not, what I'm saying won't seep in. Because in a sheer relaxation, a sheer letting go, you can be intuitive. But if you're like that, you can't really, you see, you're using the wrong instrument to meet what is being shared. So first let go. And when you let go, you're not attached to objects of the waking state. And the mind's idea of that state can seem very oppressive, it can seem boring, it can seem lifeless, inert, a waste of time. But the actuality of being like that, the sheer beauty of that, you could be the king of the universe, but you will not experience that. In its simplicity, it doesn't have to be fireworks and bells and whistles. Just the pristine presence of God, the taste of His love, His light, is more than giving water to someone who is abandoned in the desert. And in the human condition, nothing else can quench our thirst. You've seen on the internet and things like that. I was going to say magazines and things, but now who reads magazines? But, so you've seen people who have everything the world can give them. But if you do an interview with them, they say, my next plan is to have even more. And then after 5 years you meet them, then my next plan is to have even more. So this is not, the thirst is never quenched. And what do we actually need in our life? Very simple things. No? Can you sit at two places at the same time? You need one chair. Can you sleep on two beds? No. Can you wear two shirts? You can, but it's pointless. So our needs are very little. But Maya and its distraction says, you want this, you need this also, you need that also. It has to be this also. All in the attempt to actually prevent you from quenching your desire in the taste of God's love within your heart. So the more and more and more and more and more until you die. You see, and most of us don't recognize this strangeness, this absurdity of this treadmill. More, die. And the true opportunity of self-recognition, of self-realization and God realization is missed by most because of this silly treadmill that we run on. So in the last satsang, we sort of dipped into all the pathways to God, isn't it? And there are millions. God has made for each of us a way to find Him. So there are billions actually. But we looked at the broad categories to empty ourselves of the false notion of me and to live in God's will, in God's love, in God's light. So I can give you some sense of the path, whatever little I've walked, and just some reassurance and encouragement, and maybe coming to satsang you find some energetic support also. But you have to walk. In one satsang we also talked about this, the mental distinction between effort and grace, and how it seems contradictory, but actually full grace and full effort go together. So don't fall for the trick and waste most of your life just in the excuse of if it is going to happen, it will happen by God's grace. Have you truly handed over yourself fully? Are you setting the table every day like Ma Shabri for Ram to come? So there are two modes of our understanding. One mode could be that, oh, Ma Shabri, she was quite stupid actually. She was really stupid. Why did she have to do this every day? When he had to come, he is going to come. So why go to the jungle, fetch the fruit every day, set the path with flowers for God to come every day? When it's time, he'll come. She could have just relaxed. Yeah? Just relaxed with those, what is the counterpart of those days' entertainment? So either she was really foolish and therefore worth forgetting completely, or she's really the embodiment of devotion where all of us can learn from. So which one is it? And she was a great Jnani, and her Guru had told her that you can have moksha right now. So we must not feel that, oh, but we know better. So, like I've been mentioning, and this is from the cost of discipleship, we have to be very careful of the freshman saying, I don't know, versus one who has spent their whole life truly in search for true knowledge and then concluding that nothing truly can be known. Because in the words of Advaita Vedanta, you will find the best excuses. But in the living of true Advaita Vedanta, you will meet the fusion of effort and grace, which is beyond conceptual understanding. Like a parallel in the world, sometimes in the world they say that those who work the hardest somehow end up getting the most lucky. So this is this multiplied to the extreme. So if you're not feeling the heat of the battle with the mind, if you're saying that spirituality is easy, then of course my blessing is that may this be so for you. But I would also want to investigate deeper as to whether you're truly getting a sense of the project. If you don't encounter your stubborn insistence on living by your will every day, then either you are free or the mind has got you caught up in some narrative. Because at least a few times every day, or maybe many times every day, I notice it here. How I rush to conclude, how I rush to judge, how I want to fall for self-interest without waiting for God's guidance, for God to move me. And although it's completely possible that all of you have gone way beyond me in this quest to live in God's light, yet my job would be just to make sure that you're not fooling yourself and wasting time. Because these things are very tricky. Because you may say, I spoke to a friend a few months back, and I said, you must start living your life in God's will. So he said to me, but isn't everything that is happening to me in God's will? I said, yes, you're right. It is in God's will. You see? But that is one way to look at it, that everything happens by the will of God. But there is also another degree to that surrender, which is the handing over of sacrificing our individual will every moment in handing it over to God to allow Him to move us, allow Him to guide us. So that is when we move from the convenient armchair spirituality to the true being in His presence. Because if you were to start that right away, allow only Him to move you, allow only Him to guide you, you would have no option but to first meet His presence. When you come to that infantile state, then although we can't predict these things, it is very likely that God will reveal Himself to you. Do you spend your day like that? Because that needs faith. That can sound risky. You may lose your job. You may lose your relationship. You may lose your health. You may lose everything that you understand about yourself. That's all. You don't care about a fifth thing. It's only these four. So all these are at risk. So then what we conveniently do is we say, okay, now these are the broad parameters that I will define. See? God time is from this time to this time. See? From this time to this time. See? And that's not a bad way to start. See? But we must continue to hand over all of our life in His hands. And if you do that, and you notice where you get stuck, and you say that it's not always easy, and you're struggling, and then it gets easier and easier and easier. Then in that handing over of self-will and making it about God's will alone, that is one beautiful surrender, Sharanagati, to live in His light, in His will. Can we live like that? Are we living like that? Do we want to? First thing is the intention. Do we want it? Are we willing to risk it?
That the intention, in my case, I feel that intention is very strong, not in like, I want to be like that, but it's strong in the sense of an extreme fatigue of the way I am.
Yeah.
So it is like, I definitely don't want to carry on like this. That much grows every day, but I'm not like.
That itself is the rocket fuel that provides the momentum for most of us, at least to start with. No? So this is good. She's saying that more than wanting a new way of life, the way of the heart, as we talk about, it is that we are completely done with the old way of life, because that at least doesn't seem to be working. So for most of us, that can provide the momentum. And for most of you coming to satsang, some momentum like that is there. very few want to come to this kind of satsang, because there is nothing here for the me. But that motivation, that inspiration is because we're tired of the old way of life. You see, it could be because of one of these four things that I said. Something may have happened. But we are looking for a better way to live, because something in us recognizes that this old way of me doesn't work.
So not actively asking God's will, and I'm not following my mind either. You know what I'm saying? Sit.
Like now? Let's start now.
Yeah. Okay, so the urge to ask, check with you came now. Reacting, I don't know where.
What do you mean by urge?
Meaning like I wanted to
God's
ask
will?
No, I don't know if it was God will ask.
So we must find out.
So that's what I'm saying.
So find out. So we must not rush. Because to say, oh, it's an urge which I don't know whether it's my will or God's will, but let's go with the urge anyway, you see, is basically a following of my will, my way, in the garb of an urge.
Okay, so when I wanted to ask the question like 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes, I just stayed with me. But the thought came that maybe and not because you said ask and then move.
Okay, but now?
Because I haven't asked yet.
No, just, we must find out. Otherwise, we're just saying it must be God's will, so let me just. We can't presume. If in all traditions, in all spirituality, everything is telling us that we must follow God's command. Hukum rajai chalna, Nanak likhya na. If Nanak ji has told us that is the only way to be free from this delusion, then what happens when we try to follow that? And why it's important to cut it at the root is because, like we were saying about the morning, it takes momentum. You see, it picks up momentum like that. We go with one thought, then it feels like other thoughts are more believable. Then we go with those, then everything, the world view that is presented by the mind seems true. And then to step back from all of it seems like it is too difficult. So start fresh now. Empty, empty. Because if Nanak ji has told us that all the other things won't work, all our understanding won't work, all our spiritual experiences won't work. Everything that we think we can do for this won't work unless we learn to follow the will of God. And He has said command actually. Then does any of you feel like He could have provided an instruction which actually is impossible to follow? He would not have. And that too in His main pointing. And there are enough examples in all religions, all spirituality, reminding us to follow God's will.
Follow God's will is accepting what is happening. So it is like if Hukum Rajai also, when I talk to people who study the scripture, they think this is when something happens, whatever it might be, you must accept it.
Yes, this is true, and acceptance is helpful. But I feel like we'll find enough instructions which are quite precise. When he said "Hukum Rajai Chalna," where follow the command is very clear. He didn't say accept. He didn't say "Hukum Rajai Baitna." He said "Chalna." So then that following part is very clear. So you're absolutely right that the way it can be heard is actually different. Although even acceptance is very important and beautiful, and yet we have to go beyond that. And we have to follow. How to follow God's will. So he has said, "Soche sochna hoye." You may think and think and think 100,000 times, but your thinking is not going to do it. Then he said, "Chuppe chup na hoye." You may be quiet, sitting in silence all the time. It's not going to do it. Then what does it say? Bhukya bhukna utri. No matter what we gain in this life, whatever experiences we may have, also our thirst, our hunger will not be quenched. You may do hundreds of smartness, think you have all the bookish knowledge, that's not going to do it. Then I always imagine the next line as from a frustrated seeker, because they've been told everything that they've been trying is not going to do it. So then the next line comes from the frustrated seeker, apparently saying, then what is going to do it? Sorry, my pronunciation is terrible. Gives Satyaya Hoy. So, through what can we find these truths? What will make the delusion go away? And then he has told us that Hukum Rajai Chalna Nanak Likhya Na. We must follow the hukum, the command, the will of God, and that is what Guru Nanak Ji has told us. How to follow? If you're full of self-will, just like attention, the space for will is limited. Just like you cannot pay attention to 3 conversations at the same time, because it's limited. Same in this world play, you can either go my way or God's way. How to check whether you're going my way or God's way? Ask yourself what you want. What is it that you want? Even right now. Let go of that. Create the space for God's will to unfold. Are you noticing the parallel? So whether you take this path of devotion and servitude, or you're being open and empty, or you're inquiring, or you're praying, that space, inner space, being kept empty for God's light, is the common thread in everything. So basically, we are being told that you cannot be Frank Sinatra. You cannot do it my way.
Nor is it a part-time.
Huh?
Nor is it a part-time job.
It's not a part-time job. And say, I am God's servant, I am going to follow God's will from this time to this time, from 7 in the morning to 8 in the morning. But if you're not doing anything at all, then that's a good start. And what prevents us? We feel that I can do it better, which is the biggest stupidity, no? The idea that I can do it better compared to the one who is creating, running, and going to eat up this whole world has to be some sheer silliness and arrogance. If I hand it over to God, then it won't go according to my plan. But if God doesn't want it, you think it's going to go according to your plan. You may not wake up tomorrow. So this kind of arrogance gets in our way. Is the mic?
Father, even if I pray throughout the day, like, it's not seeming like I'm able to, like, it's not seeming like I'm being guided to, like, my actions doesn't seem like, because there are times when it seems like how you said that sometimes it feels guided and sometimes God just moves you, but it's not the latter also. Like, even if I'm in prayer, there's still, when sometimes when certain actions need to happen, there still comes from a place of like, oh, I want to do this and I want, so it's
But while you're praying, then also it happens like that? In the sense you're praying Ram, 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 Ram. And then also you say, I want to do this?
and
Both can't happen at the same time.
it happens like with work and stuff, no?
Yeah.
Or even if I have to
So you are in prayer, and then you pause the prayer and conclude for yourself what you want to do.
yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah, maybe,
So
yes.
then that is not unceasing prayer. And to remain in prayer just means that we remain in His presence, in our heart temple. So stay like that and see if you can follow your own will at the same time. Can you?
in when I'm deeply in prayer, Father, it doesn't arise like that for me, like that kind of self-concern for me to have it my way. That doesn't. It's more like I leave everything at your feet. So that is more natural.
Yes, exactly. So when you're deeply in prayer, then you don't have self-concern, self-will, self-image.
It does.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, like it's not unceasing. Maybe that's like how you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah. So that is the attempt. That is the work in progress for all of us. And when I say I'm foolish many times a day, it is because I also go with my individual will instead of waiting for God to move me, to guide me many times. Remember that nothing is worth leaving his temple for. Whatever the action may be, whatever the outcome may be, whatever the world promises you will gain, why would you leave him? A metaphor that is coming is that his presence for some time in this human condition, because Maya is strong, will seem like the light of a diya, the light of a lamp. You see? So your job is to just tend to that light and don't leave it. Like on Diwali night, at least in the north, my family and other families do this, that throughout the night they have to keep the diya burning. You see? So you get up many times in the night to make sure it's burning well. Some may even stay up the whole night and tend to it. So his presence is burning like a flame in your heart. And then he'll reveal more and more of himself to you. But initially remember that you're not to leave that light untended, come what may. Because what happens when you leave it untended? When you go with the world, it seems to burn out. We seem to get disconnected. Then we have actually no guarantee, but His grace, of course, helps us. But we don't have a guarantee that we'll ever find it again. So actually, the risk is in that. The risk is in leaving His presence, isn't it? Like, can any of us say, "No, I'll just be mindy for 10 minutes, and then I'll return to God's presence"? Because God's presence is not guaranteed. If you've been selfish for 10 minutes, if you've been just me, I know it sounds stark, but really there is no guarantee. But we have faith in His love and His mercy, and yet we don't know. So, what is the greater risk? The mind tells you that, oh, but if you're just going to be like that, you'll be vegetative, you'll not be active, you'll lose opportunities at work, all these things will happen. And those things sound like risk, so we leave God and we say, okay, let me tend to all of this, then I'll come back. You see? And it's His love that allows us to take Him for granted like this. But that's a huge risk, because it may also not be like that. It may be like Narad, you see, who went to get a glass of water for Krishna. Then when at the river sees this beautiful lady and says, "Oh, what a beautiful life I could have if she could be mine and we could be married and together." You see, and he forgot about the mission that Krishna had sent him on to get him a glass of water, and he spent a large part of course, Narad being Narad has millions of years, but we don't. So he spent many years in that Maya of having worldly attachments till great suffering came. I don't want to repeat the whole story, but because you all know it. But we don't have to wait for that. You're first finished? Yeah.
Father, there's a lot of see that I go away with sometimes some kind of self-image comes of looking a particular way in front of colleagues or friends or family.
Which way you want to look? Like we all have some of that, no? That we want to look intelligent, we want to look smart, we want to look as if we are on top of things, all of these things. It's all lies. So, I'm also learning to not fall for these tricks of the mind. Because the flame that we are tending to is so holy that if we lost it for this kind of silliness, that would be like the full Narad story again.
Honestly, Father, yesterday
Closer.
sorry. Honestly, yesterday I was, it was just what you just said, that I felt that losing the light would be a much bigger loss than losing any of this. It's clear, but yet,
Because just look at the fact of how many of our brothers and sisters can say that this is even a possibility for them. How privileged we are to be able to even talk like this. That I choose to come to him, I choose to be with him, I choose to leave him. For most of them in the world, they will feel like we are completely bonkers. We are just deluded that we are fooling ourselves, that how can so many of these city kids come to God, where is the 100 years of tapasya and all of this, and they're talking all these big things about being with God. It doesn't happen like that. ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. That is the usual skeptical response that you can get. You see? But we know in our heart whether it's true or not. You see? We know for ourselves. And what a great privilege it is. Because to even have this notion of choice about this, those who are looking for God so full-heartedly, if you ever talk to them like this, they'll be like, are you strange? Because you're saying you found God in your heart, you're finding God in your heart, and then you allow Maya to pull you out so easily. So we must not. And I'm saying I'm nowhere speaking from a position that I don't do it. I'm very much an expert in this foolishness myself. So this much I'm saying for this one also, along with all of you. So the first thing for all of us is to come to the recognition of that holy flame in our heart, that holy light in our heart, which is, and don't imagine anything, it is not perceivable. Intuitively you will sense this flame. So don't try to visualize or come to it, and then after a while your intuitive sense will make it so clear that it will be brighter than a perception can ever be. You see? So that we must devote to find, in the sense of try to recognize God's presence within yourself. Don't look for Him in the form of a flame or some other emotional feeling or something like that. Just God, God, God. Make yourself available to Him, only concerned with the recognition of Him, and then this recognition may happen by His grace. But for those who can say that He is here, then we must recognize our error, our foolishness every time we choose to let go of His presence. Because He does not leave once He is here. Yeah? It can never be that you are graced by His presence, you're sitting at your heart altar and immersed in His presence, and He says, I've got to go. It doesn't happen. You see? Next time when you are disconnected and When you try to go there, then it may seem that you can't find his light, and therefore then you must remain there with head bowed down, open and empty, till his light seems apparent again. It's the apparency that changes, not the presence. It's not that he is really coming and going, it's whether it is apparent, whether the revelation is apparent to us or not, that changes. So I hope you can all see the importance and the value in what I'm saying. And we must never make it trivial. We must not say, oh, today this happened, and yesterday like that this happened. And even if you say that, it should be, you must really see the gravity of what we are saying. That I decide to leave God and go on my own devices, on my own terms, which is exactly the core biblical story, isn't it? Again and again it repeats itself in this pattern. Generation after generation, it repeats the same story. So this is the most direct definition of the pride that afflicts all of our lives, or the pride that we afflict on all of our lives. That God's light is here. We don't know if we go on our own expeditions, whether when we return and when we want Him to be here, there is no guarantee, and yet we decide to leave. Can there be a better way to describe pride?
Father.
So there are two attitudes we must have. For those, and I'm not asking anyone to expose or say what you feel, nothing. I'm just saying that if you feel in your heart that this presence, this light, this flame, this temple is not apparent to you, then you must dedicate your life to this discovery. And if you dedicate your life to this discovery, it is my prayer to God, it is my blessing to all of you also, that may it happen by His will, by His grace. And those who feel His light, His presence, they must not leave. We must not leave. This is the transformation of our life. This is the start of spirituality. Then, you had more? Go ahead. Don't worry. But little closer the mic or something, just louder or closer, something.
Okay. It's like I see on a daily basis the amount of mistakes that I'm making, And every day before I sleep, there's a report card.
Oh.
Because
it's good to notice, but not good to dwell on it. Is it? Because even in the process of dwelling on it, we are making it about me instead of God.
Yeah.
Is it? Noticing is important because we notice our mistakes. We notice our foolishness, and it's good not to be in denial of them. But upon noticing, we must return to His presence. And when we are in His presence, there we know. You see, we must not imagine some state of lack of intelligence or lack of being able to notice if we are in His presence. You see, it's not that we have to first do all that work and then return to Him. You see? So, If you just return to Him, then what we need to learn, what we need to understand, all that is there without relying on the checker guy's report cards and getting stuck in guilt and unworthiness. That point is very important because that is the two punch of the 1-2 punch of the mind trick. First he distracts us, then he tells us, see, it will never happen for you, you are like this only. And then that 2 punch lingers for a long time.
But sorry, okay.
No, please.
The flightiness of this, no, just that because
The flightiness of what? The fleeting nature of it, you mean?
and it seems like, Father, that it's like abhi aaya abhi gaya. It's like,
Which is you, not him. Yes or no?
yeah.
So it's good to see that about ourselves, that we come here to the heart temple, but we find a way to leave. It's not that he leaves. That's why that point, it's not flighty in that way. It's not that he may just come and go, because he doesn't go. Is there any one of you who can say that I came to his presence and after a while he went away? Not you. You don't say that.
Father, the smallest of self-concern will take me
Can. Many
away.
times you'll notice that his love is so great that we may have been stupid all day, but his presence is still full of light in our heart. Very well.
This once we decide, that what you said, 2 years, and it's
I
only
didn't get anything. What?
you said like 2 years, you commit to only
Yes.
this, nothing else, and
Don't say I'm doing well, I'm doing badly, this has started happening for me, this is not happening for me. Just keep at it.
yeah, and when I'm open to other people, when I meet them, they suggest things, and they suggest minor
When
deviations.
you're open to other people, be open to God present. What is open to other people is open to their mind. So then the mind will, you feel like it will miss that opportunity? No. Say, oh, now is the time to get them. We've learned to let go of our thoughts, suppose, and then we say, okay, but I'm going to listen to what everyone says. So then that the mind will use that opportunity. So there is nothing greater about their thoughts than your thoughts. You must let go of all thoughts. Receptivity and just being caught in their mental prison along with them is two different things. So openness means you're open in the heart. So when you hear something, then your heart guides you how to deal with that, how to move with that. Is that what you mean?
It's about this one. It's like if I've decided 2 years I'll come, then why would I even go to other people? Why even hear them? Why be open? If no matter what they say, I'm just going to discard it. Might as well not hear them at all. Like, it's the thing you're saying.
See, what happens is that maybe we are understanding the discipleship of the Atma, the 2 years, the getting used to the discipleship, as if it is a sort of inert, closed space. But if you're heartfelt about it, then all the books, the satsang, the whatever you need to hear will also be given to you, both in the world and in your heart. So don't make it into some sort of bounded sort of way of living. Everything the Atma can use to guide you.
Can I get into more detail? Like, I want to like
Yeah,
bring
so
in
you
the
notice
specifics.
that a contemplation may come or something you may hear in a satsang or something about, say, love. And okay, let me change the example. I was saying the other day that it just came from my heart to say that sometimes there is so much sweetness in us that we can actually taste the sweetness in our mouths. And I said that, and then I was like, I just started making things up now. Am I really being authentic to experience what is happening? Because I felt true, but because I had not heard anyone else talk about it, I just felt a bit, what's happening? You see, am I getting into some pride or some stupidity? And then in the next 3-4 days, we found so many different teachers. Sri Ramakrishna said it, some other teachers mentioned the same thing, another teacher mentioned the same thing. So it is Atma's way of teaching us, where you will start to notice the beats, the themes, the understanding that it brings us to, and it uses everything that even the world to show us. So we must not become close-minded, we must not become closed to the world, but we must remember to remain in his presence. It's like a teacher holding your hand and guiding you through, even in Maya, to show us what is needed to be seen. You see, like even the satsang is happening in Maya, no? You see? So, but what is the difference then in satsang? You see, because it's the refuge of the Sadguru presence, the refuge of the Atma within, which creates these escape hatches even in the realm of Maya to pull us out. See, so satsang is an example of that.
If I were to take a specific example, like somebody who I used to go to and somebody who's been mentoring me in many ways, a professor, and he said, okay, if you're, let's say, Sermon on the Mount, if you're reading,
If you
Sermon on the Mount, I was telling him that I keep reading it, and then he said, if you're reading it, then write about it. It was his encouragement to sort of write something, all of that. But a part of me reluctant to do that, and yet, like, this small minor deviations, this is what I was saying. And
what is your heart guiding you? Because we may say that we follow Ananta, but Ananta says every day so much that you can't really follow everything he says. Even he can't follow everything. So your heart, if you're open and listening with your heart, then just in every satsang, 1 or 2 things you will hear that you can actually imbibe, you can actually apply in your life. You see, and you just follow that. Who is to determine that? That is your heart itself, your inner teacher. So it's okay to listen to others as long as we don't find ourselves getting too distracted and confused and all over the place. It's okay to listen to beautiful sages, teachers of God, but your heart will guide you in this way. The themes are decided by it, where we are, what is needed, all the Atma knows better. So allow him to move you, and you'll find that you may get encouragement in this way, and then the strength comes from the Atma itself. Or if it doesn't really move you in that way, then don't worry about it.
just like being open in the heart and just don't give it to the mind, whatever anybody says.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It's a great softness, a great openness in our heart. See, it's not exclusive. You are not going to go to anyone saying, my way is better, my teacher is the best. You see, we found God, what are you finding? You can never get into this kind of pride if you're truly living in the heart. You see, you're just simple, humble, open to learning, happy to find our mistakes, because that humility comes that we've been so foolish in so many things. How do we really know we're not being foolish right now? We don't know. And if some brother, some sister tells us that, have you looked at this? We must hear it openly. And then our heart can guide us about which way to go.
He even suggested some books, and that can't go wrong. If I'll take it to my heart. But will it go off to my head? Somewhere it's like,
What? Go off.
I don't know how to say it.
So you get the book, then you try reading it, but if it's not appealing to you in your heart, you won't read much. No? And all these are good experiments, all this is good deepening. Because as our trust grows, as our faith grows, then the nudges of the heart, the direction that the heart is guiding us in also becomes clearer and clearer. Actually, things become just simpler and simpler. If you're finding yourself getting complex, then just retreat to the heart. If you find like there's some confusion, the heart will clear everything.
Even this going to the heart, it's not very clear. What I've noticed is if I keep that unceasing prayer thing, I try to do some stuff. Anything concerns me, I just say it just as I'm saying the prayer, I say that also. And sometimes there are some very insightful kind of suggestions. I don't know what I'm asking.
It's
Like,
okay.
it's not going, I'm not even sure whether I'm going to the heart, but
Yeah, as long as you're not going to the head, you're okay.
even that I don't know. But some
That's how we're learning. At least we start to notice. Mostly, you can tell with the aftertaste. You start to smell it. You start to taste these things. When you go with your pride or ego or something, then our sensitivity becomes so much that you get an immediate like aftertaste, no, like a bad taste in the mouth. And when you're being with God, it just. But remember, it's not about the outer at all. It's the inner tasting of it.
like I can trust him more than I can trust myself, not to figure these things
Only,
out.
of course. Of course. That's the whole point of His will. That our ego, our mind is completely untrustworthy to the extent that we can trust it to take us in the wrong direction. It's trustworthy to make us seem more special to ourselves, more important. Most important in the world is me. Yeah? Everyone else comes later. First is me. So this is specialness, pride, all of this, we can trust it to do that. Acha. Okay, let's go to Divan.
Fine.
Can't hear you, my dear.
Oh, can you hear me?
Just for a moment it was clear, yes.
What about now?
Not so good. Can the others
But
hear
let
me?
me, can I like switch to like the other thing? This one.
No problem, no problem.
What about now?
Yes, yes, better, better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Master, I just felt because it's been long I spoke to you like this.
Yes, yes.
Although I speak to you every day, but I just felt the need to like come and you know because you were just arising here. I just need to come. I just need to just be with you like this. And I'm really grateful for your words because like there's some conditioning like here that they're so subtle that there are no words for them. And I'm grateful for the tools you give, and now understand why you always speak about like the pride and to be very watchful of it, because
Yeah.
um some God is so graceful, and there's so many beautiful things which I cannot even like explain with words, and so much gratitude. Sometimes your words are like, it's like some sort of like, it's like reveal something in me that I don't know how to explain it. But there's this thing like this, like a mechanism, like something that maybe has been in this world somehow. There's something that is like, and I'm witnessing this from my place of emptiness, but this thing is there, and that's why I'm grateful for like the prayer as well. And I'm realizing that it takes you to the same place, like
Exactly.
this same witnessing place where like the sense of witnessing is happening,
Yeah.
and also it's like in this place like all the scriptures are just understood, and it's like everything is just pointing you back to this, like just this,
Yeah.
like everything is like pointing back to this. Your words are so unifying because it it's like it's not the words, it's like something
Yeah.
like this wordless thing. And I'm really grateful that, of course, like sometimes when there's like so much grace and so much like love and a sense of deepening and so much grace, there's still something. It's like there's something that wants to because the claiming thing has been seen now clearly, but there's something that's not feel maybe complacent, and maybe I like come to and I listen to you and it just gets slapped or something.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that as well, because it's like there's some things that it's like only the Holy Spirit, like only through like the Spirit which like your words speak, and through like that, it's like you only see them after, and you're like, oh my God, there's still something here that is false. Although like somehow there's something here that is very pure, and at the same time
Yeah.
it's like there's something that's not really pure. And it's like through your words, it's becoming less and less impure, but it's not pure. And I just felt I want to come to you. And I always speak to you about this thing inside this place of emptiness, and there's always a sense of like communion and joy and love. But I just felt that I just needed to come to you and just to speak like this. Thank you so
Very good.
much.
Very, very good. Very good. Yes. Yes. This holy dwelling of God in our heart. You're absolutely right when you say that it is only there that we understand. Not a single word of spirituality can we understand without the guidance and the aid of the Atma within, the Holy Spirit within ourselves. So it is beautiful that you're noticing that, and that whenever you start to think that you're understanding and you're starting to smell some pride in yourselves, you return to His grace, to His light, to His presence, which is the true teacher. And His teaching makes us simple and innocent and open and loving and kind and compassionate and faithful and humble. So great is His love that He's teaching us all of this, which would be impossible really to learn otherwise. So, very good. Keep noticing like this, keep remaining empty as you are, and be in that Holy Communion in your heart. Full love, full blessings for you.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Very good. all my love. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's go to Sharon.
Hello,
Hello.
Father Nantaj. It feels important to come forward
Yes.
today because for some time it really, your satsangs were too confronting to listen
I
to.
see.
Um, um,
I can understand, and I'm very happy that in spite of facing those obstacles and for them seeming so difficult and confronting and so much resistance sometimes may arise, and yet you return and come up. I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
yeah. And also there is a wish for more clarity and
Yeah.
because there are every day I try again and again,
Yes.
and there is so much confusion and doubts
Yes.
playing, trying to avoid. And yes, it is such a deep wish for this clarity, like that these doubts cannot lead me away
Yeah.
anymore.
Very good. Very good. Very good. So, do you want to share an example? Like, what would be a big doubt that you have, or what grabs you sometimes?
It's more a constant questioning
Yeah.
if I'm doing it right for
Yeah.
God, like that, and then not now knowing how to move anymore in life and being very insecure. Mm.
I see. Would you say that, if not the only thing, at least the most important thing for you is the realization, the discovery of God, or another way to put it is the realization, the recognition of the truth about yourself?
This is the intention, but I
Yes.
see so much things are still seductive in a way, like to
Yes.
lead me away.
Yes, my child. So,
Like temptations come and then I go for it, and when I'm in the world again, then he's starting to show me like, what are you doing here? Like,
yes, yes.
and it's, yeah, I want to detect it before it's being too late. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to reassure you firstly that if it feels true that your intention is God, your number one intention at least is God or the truth, which is the same thing, then the rest will sort itself out. The primary thing is whether we want God more than everything else. And if that is true, then it is not that Maya will lose its power and will not be tempting anymore. It will not be that the mind will give up and say, oh, she really only wants God, let's leave her alone. You see, it won't be like that. Our faith continues to deepen by being tested. Our faith continues to deepen by the doubts coming, and every time we let go of the false doubt, you see, our faith then deepens. So it has to feel, like I've been saying, it has to feel risky in this way. You see, because doubt is saying, what are you doing? Are you going to mess up your life just about this notion of God? Is this even true? You see, all these kind of doubts will come.
Yeah.
And actually, it doesn't matter what the doubt is saying, but it's questioning the reality of God and His presence in yourself. You see, and the reality of yourself as pure awareness itself. Its primary purpose is to doubt that and to distract you and make you believe that the world appearance is actually the reality that you should focus on. You see, that is the primary intention. whatever the
And
words of doubt may be.
yeah, I also think that in the beginning you follow satsang, you
Yeah.
believe that you can use the satsang for the personal life to improve. And I think this illusion is falling away. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe because of the fear, then it comes, is this really what I want? Yes, it is really what I want because I know there's nothing else. But there's, yeah, I'm still letting go of the world how I used to be is difficult because like the children demand my attention or my partner, or they judge me because I'm like always sometimes sitting and
Yeah.
these are the doubts that come
Yeah.
and
Yes. All of us in spirituality, in some way, especially satsang like this, are familiar with the judgments from the world, are familiar with many times our families themselves will say, "What's wrong with you? Are you depressed? Why don't you do something?" You see, all these things are very natural for us to hear. So the doubts, you're right, come from not only this mind but also the apparent minds of the world, of those who really actually love us as well. But because they can't understand what we are thirsting for, they can't understand what we are longing for. That is why, with our best interest at heart, they tell us to change things about ourselves. But we are at a point where it seems so clear to us that without God's light, without God's presence, nothing else seems fruitful, doesn't seem worthwhile. So I can completely understand how the mind uses all of these judgments from the world to question, to doubt our spirituality, to doubt whether we are making the best use of this life. But it's, I want to reassure you that there is no better use for this life than what you're doing. So you must use it to come to the discovery of the truth within your heart and to make that your home, to live over there. So I'm fully with you in this, and anytime, anything that you feel like your mind is bothering you with some question, uh, something is taking hold for you, you can come in satsang, raise your hand, and we can look at that together. Because it's a delicate time also, because as you're settling, learning to settle and trust your heart, the mind can also ramp up the attacks and try to get you away from it. So it may seem like
yes,
the onslaught is coming from everywhere. And
there's like an energetic discomfort almost the whole time and yeah, and also a lot of worrying about the children, like this is used to like I'm not raising them well at this moment and that is used to pull me away a bit.
I want to tell you that there cannot be a better parent in the world than the one who is living in God's presence. All the
I
rest,
wanted to ask you that I can trust them in your hands and
of course, my dear, of course. As
so
you,
so that I can remain with you.
yes, yes, yes. The Atma within, the Sadguru presence in your heart is your best teacher. I'm just an instrument of that. And we pray to this Atma, this Sadguru within, that your children are so well taken care of and they find the true light of God's light even in their life when they are ready, when they are open. So, full blessings. It cannot be that the way of the Sadguru within can ever harm or be detrimental to anyone in this world. And our children, they may not say it, our family, our partner may not say it, but it is the greatest blessing in their life to have a mother, to have a parent who is uh, dedicating her life so much to God. So just stay with that, stay with Him, and know that in His light, in His presence, just you don't have anything to worry. Know that everything is taken care of by Him. If you have that faith, then, and you don't give in to the anxiety from the head, from the worry from the head, it'll start to deepen and deepen so much. And sending
Thank you very much.
all my blessings,
Thank
and
you.
you keep deepening in your heart. May you keep discovering the sweet taste of His love. May that become a source of such great strength and stability to your spirituality. All my love, all my blessings.
Yeah. Thank you. There's still one thing I feel I want to say, and it's like I want to offer all the judgments and arrogance that is playing, because, and also the pride. It's
Very good, very good,
it's
very good.
yes.
I want to
It's
tell you
more
that,
and more revealing.
yes, exactly what I was going to say also,
Yes.
that pride is the great blind spot in the human condition. You see, we can see it in everybody else, but we can't see it in ourselves. You see, so because we've fallen for it so often, we know now by experience that we should never presume that we are not being arrogant, that we are not being full of pride. But the ability that we have to deny this pride within ourselves is so deep that only in the discipleship of the Atma within do we start to notice it so clearly about ourselves. And so many of you are having this experience that that which you took to be so normal and the right way to be, now you're seeing for yourselves that I'm also seeing for myself that this is so full of arrogance, it is so full of pride. So it is this holy light which shows us, which brings light on our blind spots. So when you say it is revealing itself more and more, this is very, very good. It's very natural. Then if our pride is being revealed to us, then we know that we are following the right one in our heart. It's very good, very good. Bless you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Always welcome. Okay, let's go to Sunil.
Namaskar.
Namaste, my dear.
I miss you a lot. I had some lot of work.
No
Okay,
problem, no problem.
I could not come, but I'll be coming twice a month. Actually, it's very far. So I miss you a lot on the Sangha.
Same. Good,
I
man.
love you.
Love you too.
Okay. So I have a question, Father.
Please.
See, all these days, like I'm just every day just focus, like sitting, like sort of meditation, try to observe my mind and everything. Okay. So it was really good that as per your guidance, I did it, and it really worked. Okay, so whole day I was really okay, and sometimes what happens is a couple of times I have a lot of fear, and there's a sort of talk in the inside the head. It comes out. It's so dangerous, which I know it's not me, or I recognize that, but sometimes it stucks up, and I'm totally in a very constant thing, which I could not concentrate on my work, or maybe like I could not be more open to the in the family or sort of things. And I did have right now a couple of times I just sat and just like I was just observing, and it's really good for me right now. I'm able to speak to you. I don't have any sort of thing, but talk in the head. It's I don't know how it comes. Like sometimes it tells very dangerous. It talks about your unworthiness, why you're doing this, and why you're doing the meditation, why you go for satsang. Okay, then the thought of like death, something may happen, all sort of things comes and really, like so Friday. Okay, once I just sit for a calm for half an hour, and rest of 3 hours I'll be so fine. And how to deal with this, with your guidance, please help us, Father.
Yes, thank you, my dear. So, first know that this is the nature of the mind. As you are coming closer to God's light in your heart, you started taking steps in that direction so beautifully, and you're starting to find some peace in your life better than earlier. Then the mind can increase its assault, you see, can become very violent in this way, can be very attacking to yourself.
That is too much, actually. It tells that why you go for a, there's no meaning going for like satsang.
Exactly.
Okay.
It says these kind of things because that means what? That means that you're on the right track. If it is attacking you more, it doesn't mean that you're going wrong. It means that you're following your heart more. And it is, the mind is just, imagine it like a jealous one. It is getting jealous that you're following your heart more, and then it's becoming attacking towards you. So if the mind is attacking more, know that you're going on the right track. So let it attack. Say whatever you want, you do. God is in my heart. The Master has told me that His presence lives inside my heart. There's nothing the mind can do to take that away. Try to scare me with everything that you have. I am going to stay with God with everything, with all my power. So just like that, you see through all these scare tactics of the mind, because all it has is scare tactics. It can't actually do anything to you. You're living in God's grace. So don't be scared of the mind. It will try to scare you. And try like this and just remain in that emptiness. Remember what I told you, that these thoughts, all this talk in the mind is just thoughts which are coming and going. So as you're doing, you allow them to come and go. Just allow every thought to come and go. Don't worry about it. Don't judge yourself based on what the thoughts are saying. Just simply stay like that.
Sometimes whatever it happens, right, I'll be in out of my, this thing is totally, a mind is totally manifested. It feels like that, okay? And sometimes I can't help it out, so I just tell that, okay, I got to accept whatever you tell. That's what I just tell.
What may help you also then is when you find yourself being caught in this fear, is there an aspect of God like Ram, Krishna, Jesus, Allah that you resonate with in your heart in some way?
Nothing, like in that moment, right? I just simply just observe it. I try to observe it, and I'm just forcing that. I don't feel like finally I just accept it. Okay, fine, whatever it is, let it run away, and still I'll be there. There'll be a lot of like contract in the body or in the stomach. Okay, so as you told that day, just try to observe it. Okay, whatever. So sometimes it happens, and finally I just accept it as it is. Is it the right thing I'm doing, and
Yes,
how it is?
it's fine. It is fine. But if you find yourself feeling very constricted, very caught up in some fear in some of these states, then if on other times are you attracted to a particular aspect of God, a particular form of God that you can use to pray, or
No, truly
not?
speaking, I do a puja at morning.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a bit a bad guy.
Okay,
Sorry.
no,
Sorry.
it's totally fine. It's beautiful. So, what is the puja that you do?
I just sit for 10 minutes in a puja room, Okay, just clean all the things and try to decorate it, all the things, and sit in front of do the aarti. And I just come back and sit half an hour for like as a meditation as such. As I told, I just observe it, whatever it happened, and after that, it's day starts and no issues. Okay, sometimes like suddenly a
So
thought comes up.
what is in your puja room? What is the murti there, or what do you
Have Tripura Sundari Ammani. It's in lady, and also have Ganesha, and I have Ramana as well, Ramana Maharshi. Okay, so only that I have Krishna Bhagavad Gita I have.
any of them that you feel resonate the most with in your heart?
Ramana Maharshi.
So what you could do is, you're doing very well, don't change anything much. Just remain in that letting go, all these thoughts, let them come and go like I told you. But if you feel like you need some help, you feeling too fearful, then just say Namo Ramana.
Okay.
As many times as you want, and that will bring some peace to you, that will bring you back in your heart. You see, that is
Father, I used to do that. Okay, I used to do that. I was really comfortable. I don't know why I forget that to do when it is.
This is how Maya works. We forget all of this. So I'm very happy that I can remind you of this, and just use that. It will bring that needed peace. It will bring that needed strength to counter the fear.
Yeah. See, after all this subsides, right? If I feel that I forgot to just like chant a mantra like Ramana Maharshi or Om Namah Shivaya, that it comes up, and I feel so messed, and I feel like laughing at myself.
No, this is the natural way all of us are. Maya makes us forget. It's very compelling, you see. So don't worry. Start now. It's a very good time to start. So don't worry about what happened in the past. Just remain empty like you have been doing. But when you are getting too caught up in your fear or it seems so strong, then use Bhagwan's name, you can use Om Namah Shivaya also, whatever you feel like using. You can use that to return to the presence of God in your heart.
Okay, so one more thing. So I have this sort of thing, like when I just do that, every day I have the same conditional thought process is happening. Okay, it's nothing new. It's every day the same thing. Okay, so I want to stop that. And the only thing is, I have to do just what you told. I think so.
Yes. Let's try this for a few weeks, like you following so beautifully what I told you that day. Just try this also for a few weeks, and then we can always talk and see if we need to add something or change something. We can always
Because
good.
today is my son's birthday. I want your blessings.
I see. Okay, very good. What's his name?
Himank.
Himank.
Yeah.
Full blessings.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Very good. Divan wants to come again? Okay. It's not. I can hear you now. Yes.
Can you hear me now also?
Yes, my dear. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, it just came to me right now to just, although it's very simple, but I just really so much gratitude for you because you showed me that Now, if in your heart, you like choose God, you even if you don't know anything at all, and you just have this thing because
Yes.
somehow, like when I look, see that God was always sending like the hints, like
Yeah.
like in very subtle ways, and even things like visions or like miracles and all of these things. They were like hints to like give me a sense that there's something beyond this realm and that there's something beyond like just conditioning.
Yes.
And but it was something that was needed, like the spirit of truth. And I'm grateful that you revealed just this very simple way that you can remember like the first video I watched about you where you spoke about it's not about me, it's about God.
Yeah.
And there was something there because you showed me that if in your heart you truly choose God, then like help is going to come. And and I've seen this, it's so true. You know, it's um it's like all the fears are because I remember when there was something that I wanted to like go, but like to step into this, like into this faith and into this trust. But there was something because the fears of the human nature and all of these things. And like the fear that maybe you're just going to vanish or this kind of things, or like sometimes you're in an emptiness and just witnessing like the sense of existence, but something comes and says like, you're going to go crazy, or
Yes.
and then you're like, God is with me, and reinforcing that because there was a sense that something wanted because of the concepts I had about God.
Yes.
Although in my heart I always had this intuitive sense, and I feel like everyone has it, like
Yes.
this like something Pavamuji calls it like a message that God wrote in our hearts before it came into manifestation.
Yes.
This
Yes. Yes.
sense of existence, and I'm so grateful to you because you like it's like something was going there and then coming back, and then and I'm so grateful because it's all in this place that like truth is known and that if someone is true, or if you can like I've never met you physically, but I'll feel that you're here with me, It's
Very, very,
so one. I just, I don't know, it just arises in my heart so much to just speak to you like this because you really revealed this in my heart. I'm so grateful. Yeah, thank you.
bless you. Bless you so much. Love you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Like you used to say, thoughts are visitors, let them come, let them
Yeah.
go. One small step in between, let them come, take it to the heart, let them go.
No, no. As you let them go, your heart is. You don't have to pull it in or something. It knows everything. It's in the light of the Atma that this whole world is created. The one in your heart knows everything. Good? Yes, of course.
So I woke up this morning, Father, with lots of thoughts in the
Lots
mind.
of thoughts, yes.
I started writing in my diary, and at some point I ended up writing Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, as well as saying my ADS. And then it struck me that God is here. I'm a servant of God. So just became open to the presence of God. And his body was feeling, after a little while, his body was feeling cold. So I said, Lord, are you feeling cold? Just waited for the Lord to answer. And I said, if you're cold, would you like me to switch off the fan or the AC? I'm your servant. And I sat quietly. Something nudged me towards the fan.
Yes.
So I got up and I shut the fan and I sat again in quietness, just writing my Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and keeping in my heart that I'm the servant, and aware of the body as being the body of the Lord God.
Great.
And is it comfortable? Is it thirsty? Is it cold? And that awareness stayed for quite a long time. Just want to let you know that a package came from Amazon, and the mind got distracted with that. I opened the Amazon packet. About an hour later, I came back again to the presence of God, and His grace. With His grace, He was all loving, all compassionate, and there was the same quietness until I came to Satsang.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Jyotika.
It's, Father, it's almost a confession
Yeah.
that even now, like a work concern came, okay, my attention went there because you were answering questions and my attention went there and I became like fully involved. And for that time, prayer that I was doing also in my heart, or, you know, even it being evident, God,
The prayer
the presence
was
also.
continuing?
No, the prayer wasn't continuing. So it just felt fully
caught in that work situation.
Yeah. And then after it's done, it's again gone. But it just
For like a minute or two, or
it's just no, these kind of things keep happening, and then Father, then it becomes like it takes me away for a while.
yeah, but just like this to keep noticing and so just make a resolve that next time it comes like that, I'll stay with God's presence and allow Him to move whatever needs to move. And then it may happen like that a few times, and then again something will come, we forget. So that's how we keep learning. We keep falling, getting up, falling, getting up.
Father, does it seems like there's some distrust, with that I cannot can't have faith and let God do the work versus I have to get.
This is the primal thing, the distrust. So that's what we are all learning. We're still working on development of trust, so that our faith just deepens more and more. How will the trust develop? That when you take a risk next time and say, okay, this trigger is there, this temptation has come, but I'm going to stay with God's life and let's see what happens. Then when you see that it's okay, it's all fine, then that trust develops. You see, then more and more you try it and it develops more and more. So it's a living learning, no? It's a living experiment. So notice is good to, next time you notice, you'll remember to stay, you see, or the time after that. We just keep learning in these ways. Because the full faith won't come till we keep deepening in the trust. You see, just by saying you must have, it won't really fix it. Till we go through in our life, that's why I said faith really has to be tested and shaken up. You see, otherwise it's not faith really. Like we all may feel like we have so much faith till the test comes, till the shaking comes, and the shaking can be just a simple message on our phone. You see? Then for a minute we are like, oh, forget all this, let me. Yeah? So it can happen like that, but then when we notice it, then we say, okay, next time I will not leave God, come what may. See? And then we may succeed or we may fail, but every time we try it that way, and we feel reassured in our heart, we feel the presence of love in our heart, that trust deepens. That's why it's a living spirituality, it's a living learning, it's a constant deepening.
In my case, it would be don't leave the prayer.
Huh?
In my case, it would be don't.
Yeah, just don't leave the prayer. And prayer means the bowing down in front of God, in your heart, like the remaining in the presence of God in humility. You see, that is the prayer. So sometimes you may be having to talk, so you may not be able to do the words of the prayer and the talking at the same time. But you can be connected in your heart and the conversation can happen. You see, just like the sharing of satsang happens in that way. Otherwise, if it didn't happen that way, it's not satsang.
I can't get that.
So suppose you said to me something, something, you see, and I felt like, what, like that, and I'm just out of this, and I'm just become mental about it and things like that. Then I've left my prayer. See? So to remain in that and to just allow the words to unfold from that, that is the satsang you come for. Whether you realize it or not, you want to come to a reassurance that it is possible for you to live like this. You see, and that is what drives you to satsang, that it is possible for one in an apparent human condition to remain connected to God in the process of communication, in the process of all of this. You see? So, and that is a deepening of trust, a deepening of faith, that if it can happen for this one, it can happen here also.
So I'm thinking is eventually, to start off prayer is it's okay. Like
Yes. Just whatever you feel you can do, that is, just do that.
that's not a mind trick. Actually, this is a preliminary level till once we get there and that, but
Yeah.
it's not a trick. No? It's like
Yes, but having said that, you can try. So say, okay, my next interaction on the phone or some work thing or with family, I'll allow only God to move me. See what happens. You've been trying anyway.
Burning said the heart loves to praise God.
Yeah.
You said that the heart loves to praise God. So very often it's my mother and I are just praising God, Guru, and just staying with that. It's not necessarily that I'm aware of the presence of God, but God is in our words. Is that
Yes,
good enough?
it's well, good enough is a different question, but as long as we are keeping him in some aspect of our existence, it's not bad. Good enough is for our entirety. You see, that would be good enough. The whole, like she said, the whole Antakarna is for God, our mind is for God, our buddhi, our intellect is God, our emotions are feeling love for God. So that is the extent of fully dedicating ourselves to God. But as long as we're keeping in some aspect, even in our memory, sometimes we just remember God's name. And the beauty of it is that you start putting God in one aspect. It could be your words, and it seeps in, because it's one being. Our makeup, our internal makeup is actually just in the light of that one being. So that's why sometimes you may be fully skeptical, fully even an atheist, but if you meet a teacher and they get you to say the name of God once, it may transform your whole life. You see, just because even if you just said it in your lips, you never know how His grace can work. But for those of you who are in satsang, or following in this way, I would like to say as much of yourself as possible. Although His magic, His grace, His love can transcend, He can take our minimum and make it the maximum. But our intention should always be, what is my maximum in this moment? How much of myself can I surrender to Him? So fully empty, so not grasping at anything, not involved in any of our emotions, not grasping at anything anywhere, is also being fully for God. And then filling everything up with God, 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 everywhere is also being fully for God. Either way you go, it's God. It's only when we don't do either, which is trouble. So when we are, like I was saying, it's so beautiful, no? That both pathways are pathways to God. Yeah? That you live your waking state as if you haven't woken up, fully empty. So that becomes the openness for God, full. The same thing happens. His presence starts to shine, His light is apparent, all that. Or just remain, if you need an anchor, the subtlest anchor in a way is the holy primordial vibration of the sense I am itself. See, to remain in that anchor. Or to remain in an unconditional love, to be anchored in that way. Just holding that love, and everything else is we are unconcerned with. Like that. Or the path of the bhakta, just to use everything for God. Yeah? The bhaktas see God in everyone. And one Buddhaji said that in a few seconds everyone starts looking like Krishna doing. Except when I do my proofreading, he said so sweetly. He used to run the Gita press, so like that. So they see God in the world, they see God in their heart, they see God in their mind, they're repeating the name of God, they're only remembering His Leela in the memory. All of this is also the pathway to God. And that's why I said that once we have this intention to find God, then the methods, all of that comes. We will find uh, something unique may work for us, may, as long as we're being guided by our Atma and not by our pride. Because sometimes I'm careful to say these things because many times all of us want to be unique, no? We want to be special. So, acha, he said do like that, but I feel what works for me is like this. You see? And it could be true or it could be pride. So we have to just be careful about some of this. So once I feel fully confident that you're only going to follow the beats of the Atma within, only going to swing to his beats, then everything will be very good, very good, very good. But if I feel like there's a chance that somewhere there's a propensity for making it special and making it about me, I keep saying, just follow, just follow, like that. So, and this could be, this is actually moment to moment. We can't actually predict. But this is good. Just whatever space you're giving to God in your life, just by talking about God with love in your heart, it's a beautiful sadhana. As long as it doesn't become about, oh, but my is like this, my way is like that. What do you think? You can smell when it's intellectual. If it's truly from love, then it could be the most innocent thing. It may sound too simplistic. Have you seen these great sages? Like one example we recently came across is Swami Ram Sukdas Ji. He is a Mahagyani. I mean, the way he says the verses of the Gita as if he's just conversing. Have you noticed? He just says them, and then you notice, oh, it's in Sanskrit, and he's just conversing with that. He's such a learned one, such a Mahagyani, but he's sharing has such simplicity to it. So absent of any pretense, absence of any sort of convincing, except he's convincing, you can tell, for our own sake. He has no interest in that, he has no benefit in that. So that is from the heart, when it is just to be in service to the brothers and sisters who are listening. And that is, and it's similar to what Einstein also said. He said, if you've really understood something deeply, you can express it simply. So that is the great simplicity where all these sages are able to do it, and I'm so, of course, inspired because everything I say is full of complexities. Learning.
So they say when you talk about God, then all the angels and the rishis and all the devas, they also come because everybody longs to hear the praise of God.
Yeah. You see? But your focus is on the sun. So whether which tiny stars are gathering around, we're not so bothered with. आपके सामने Krishna is there, then you will not bother about Indra and Garuda. Your eyes will only be for Krishna. That's you're getting what I'm saying. Sometimes we may get caught up in the byproducts or the side effects. God Himself is there. His bhakts will come from everywhere. You heard the Tulsidas Ji story, that as Tulsidas Ji was sharing the Ramayana, then okay, can I get through this story without crying? I don't know. Then Hanumanji himself used to come and listen. You see, and he used to come and disguise as an old man and just listen to the beautiful words of a Ram Bhakt. So in the perfume of bhakti, which Bhakt will not want to be around? imagine that level of devotion. That the greatest devotee of God also wants to be in your presence to hear the love you have for God. But imagine the beauty that God Himself has told us that if 2 or 3 gather in my name, I will be with you. And when we start to take these things literally, then we know that we are being faithful and not just intellectual or notional. Because our intellect fights these things. Intellect says, how can it be like that? How can Hanumanji come? In fact, Hanuman has made a promise that anyone who remembers Ramji with full devotion, he is with them.
Sorry, Father. Sometimes I feel it is palpable. When two bhaktas start talking about God or Guru, the presence is palpable. It's so beautiful. It's verifiable.
That's why I never accept when any of you say that thank you so much for satsang or anything like that, because what would I do without satsang? It is the sheer joy in my life. To be able to express love for God is the most pristine. Rarely sits in front. You rarely sit in front.
Yeah, you were going to say this.
Yeah, yeah. So one time what happened, we just saw this the other day, that during the battle with Ravan, was it with Ravan? No, was it with Meghna? That Ramji became unconscious because of the Nagpash, which is arrow, the snake arrow or whatever. So then the Vahan, the vehicle of Vishnu himself, Garuda actually freed him from the Nagpash, from the arrow. But after that, his mind was full of confusion. So he went to Naradji and said to him that, I heard that Ram is the avatar of Vishnu himself, my great God, whose name itself can free anyone from any bind, from any situation. I heard that the name of Ram itself is that strong. But here Ram himself was bound in this arrow, in this, think of it as a supercharged Marvel Universe type, for those of you not familiar with these things. So just caught up in that, in the spell of that arrow, and I had to free him. So what kind of God is that? What kind of Vishnu is that? What kind of avatar would that be? So this confusion is very natural. So Naradji told him to go to Shivji, because only Shiva could then explain. So he went over there and Shiva told him that this is the nature of the Maya, which is the Maya of your Lord. That she will convince you of these things. These world appearances will convince you of things which you know in your heart are not true. You see? But you have doubted your Lord. And who is Garud doubting? Doubting the one he is the vehicle for, Vishnu himself. So he said that you have entertained this doubt, and for this doubt you will have to do penance and listen to Ram Katha. The Ram Katha is the story, the narrative, which will cleanse you from within, but it will take a long time now that you've entertained this, you see, about your Lord. So it is so important to keep our inner space just pristine and in faith, and it is very difficult because the greatest sages seem to fall for pride, seem to fall for doubt, because this Maya is the Mahatagini. Kabirji has used the precise words. She is the Mahatagini, the greatest con artist. He'll convince you that things are like this as they appear, instead of how they actually are known in your heart. It's a beautiful reminder to all of us that if Garud himself can fall for doubt, so faith is to remain in the recognition which is apparent in your heart, not needing evidence from the world. And this is the faith of Abraham, because everything that he was being guided to seemed wrong at every level except in the heart. Even reprehensible at most levels of rational thinking. But this faith is the one that Hanuman embodies. Oh, what's an ocean? I'll just jump over it. What's a mountain? I'll get it. Because this name of Ram, he said, is enough to give me whatever power is needed. And then we saw the scene from season 4 with Gaius, who comes to Jesus and says, "Help me, Lord." And this is what happened to, first he says, the servant in my house. But then Jesus says, "Okay, I come with you." He says, "No, it's okay. You don't have to take the trouble to come with me to the house of a Roman, because I know how your society thinks of us. You see? But I also know that just like I command my soldiers, I tell this one go there, this one go here, and there's no question, they go, because I command them. So I know that you have the power to command everything in this universe. This is just command that he is healed, and it will be so. I know this. I have no doubt about it." Here's a Roman soldier who has so much faith in Jesus that faith itself, and Jesus tells him, "You are blessed because of your faith." He says, "In none of my disciples, in nobody in Israel, have I seen this kind of faith that this Roman has showed me today." Isn't it the same as Hanuman? He just trusted that if it is God's, then what do I have to worry? Just that that faith